Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in. Check out your boy P Farm Thinking Right out here in my lab, and I'm in the book. We going from start to finish with Egyptian Yoga Part 2. We had question I'm asking today is where is the land of ancient Egypt? And it's the history of Egypt, who started civilization. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna be nice. We're gonna start at 5,000 BCE, and it lasted up to 600 AC. Let's talk about it. Rightism, 25 rule live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's always a message in my stories for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission, and I'm on it, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? Well, when I'm through, that's what I do for you. It's rhetorical, but if you know how to answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them, don't be them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous, avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers know that self and to might not be true. I got a bunch of information and dates for you coming up. Right thinkers, let's talk about people and philosophy on the history of Egypt and where is the land of ancient Egypt. They got a map right here. You can't see it too good here, but they circled it. I'm teaching now. This is information. If you ain't the right thing, this ain't gonna be important to you. But this is the concept right there, Egypt, the continent. And they got 54, states on that thing. Another little map of it, but you see that? You see the height? You see the that's where Egypt is, right there. In Masonic term, they call it the northeast corner. Well, in Egypt, is considered the northeast corner of Africa. Let's talk about it. All right. So the ancient Egyptians, they lived for thousands. Listen, thousands of years. Where in the northeast corner, okay, of the African continent, in the area known as the Nile Valley. This is just information. When I went to Egypt, this was important to me. Some people, to teach it now, I see it as fluff. No, that it's the information. If you really want to learn, this is what you need to know. Okay, so the Nile Valley was a source of dependable enrichment for the land, and it allowed them to prosper for a very long time. Okay, and that Nile Valley, that Nile River is a bad man. That's the lifeblood. Their prosperity was so great. How great was it that they created arts, culture, religion, philosophy, and they're the starters of civilization. Doesn't get any better than that. That alone should give you the reason. Let me check out what they were. Yeah, I went there and I found out they knew a lot of stuff that we don't have a clue about today, and which has not been duplicated since. Right there, right there. They lived a lifestyle, ancient times, more popular, more prosperous, more better than we living in modern times. And we think we're better than them or we smarter than them. No, you're not. We can't figure out how to build the pyramids over 5,000 years ago. And that was ancient times. So you see the respect I have for them as a people. And if you study it, that's what you start to realize. Hold on. They know a whole lot more than we think we know. Right now, that's the problem. We do a lot of believing or thinking, but we really don't do a lot of studying and knowing. My man John Henry Clark said better, read. I read every day. I got a bunch of information. I don't know how long it'll take me to get through it, but this is what I do. I study. I put hands on the ground, boots on the ground. And I get involved. So let's go. I'm gonna give you the flow. It's good information, but the hardcore stuff, I'm getting to that, but I gotta get to this to get to that. So bear with me. Let's go. But what they did haven't been duplicated since. Living in harmony, thousands of years. We ain't come close. So the ancient, and here's the real, this how you know this is us. The ancient Cometians, not Egyptians. Egyptians ain't ancient. Cometians are. The ancient Cometians, aka Egyptians, based their government and their business concerns all on spiritual values, aka Maya, and therefore they all enjoyed a orderly society, which included equality between the sexes. It wasn't a race thing back then. Why? Because they didn't have number one, us. So that wasn't the issue. The thing back then was male and female. We was a matriarchal society run by women. Oh, golly, that's because that Western mindset, y'all can't see it. Your mother is a woman. So stop with the, well, the woman can't be controlled. Okay, well, your father, how good was he? I love him, man. He wasn't a good man. He's a good father to me, good man to my mom, but he was doing him the whole time. He fit that in his schedule, but he was busy doing him. Moving on. Moms took care of her kids. I remember a time my mom not being around in my life. All right, but moving on. But again, back then it was just male and female. And the legal system was all based on spiritual laws they got that governed them from Mayat. And they had a book that they prospered and attributed, the Pert M. Haru, a tribute to their history and their culture and legacy as historical insults are found. It became clearer that modern culture today has derived its basis from our ancient Egyptians. Not Mesopotamians, not Babylonians, Egyptians. Though the credit is not even given, nor the integrity of the practices that maintain, this is another important reason why to study ancient Egyptian philosophy. To discover for yourself and learn the spiritual principles which allowed that civilization to prosper over a period of thousands of years. That's what I went to Egypt to get. That's what I got from Egypt. That's what I'm giving you now. And they prospered for thousands of years. But in order to bring our modern day system, our modern religion, or our social structures into harmony with ourselves, humanity, it was natural. It was a natural fit. It just worked perfect. Why? No corruption, no outside interference, none of that nonsense. That's why Christianity was born out of Egypt and is still in Egypt. Why? Ethiopians still claim to have the Ark of the Covenant. They still claim their Bible is the 88 book Bible. Y'all King James Version ain't but 66. We don't know about Enoch. Christians right now, y'all don't have a clue about Enoch. Y'all have a clue about the Jubilee. No, none of that. Why? Because it ain't in y'all King James Version Bible. That's why. Become a real Christian and get the damn Ethiopian Bible and start learning something that y'all haven't been in thousands of years. It's been around since forever. Or King James didn't see fit to put it in his books. Why is that? Ethiopians are black. King James is white. Moving on. Okay, I don't subscribe. Now let's talk about this whole Christian concept. And again, I don't rag on y'all. I just bring facts to y'all. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all just want to just believe in God and Jesus Christ walked the earth and every that nonsense. Come on, man, get off that damn train. Christianity was partly just an outgrowth of Judaism. That means Judaism was first. Okay, the Jews had their thing going, which was itself. They got theirs from what? Ancient Egyptian culture. See right there. The Jews left Egypt with their philosophy. They took Yahweh. Okay, y'all got Osiris. Yeah, we take Yahweh. We just take one. They didn't need a whole bunch of gods, so they just took Yahweh and they went on about their business. I ain't got a problem with that at all. Again, Even though they lied, I ain't got time to get into that. But if you study history, you know what's going on. So let me tell you about this one. And the Christianity came out of Judaism. So that means y'all followed somebody. Okay? And somebody y'all followed somebody. We started, so we didn't follow nobody. We were the originators. So watch this. So and y'all followed the ancient Egyptian culture and religion. So who were the ancient Egyptians? Sorry, moving on. Let me get to the lesson. And from the time that the early Greek philosophers who get on my nerve, early time, watch this. We've been around since 5000 BCE doing what we was doing, Maya philosophy. All right. So you got a Greek historian that came around. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So now, the Christians who were partly outgrowth from Judaism, the Jews, which was itself an outgrowth from the Egyptian concept, the culture, and religion. So where are the ancient Egyptians from? The time that the early Greek philosophers, this is what I don't like, set foot on African soil to study. They came there to study the teachings of the mystical spirituality of Egypt in 900 BCE. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, but the spiritual concept out of Egypt, when the Greeks came in, we were doing this at 5000 BCE. He came on the Egyptian. The first book they ever wrote and published was in 8 something BCE. Because at 9 BCE is when they came into Egypt. Okay, so from 9 to 300 BCE, you have Western society and the culture of the Greeks have forever changed. Why? Because the ancient Egyptian had such a profound effect on their civilization, as well as the native population of ancient India, the Dravidians. Okay, that it is important to understand again that the history of the culture of the ancient Egyptians and the nature of their spiritual tradition is more detailed as we go along. Everybody took a piece of Egypt. They couldn't mess with Ethiopia. So the history of Egypt, let's go, begins in the far reaches of history. What it means, and it includes the dynastic period, the Hellenistic period, the Roman period, the Byzantine period, and these all was around 30 BCE to 638 ACE. They shut down all the Egyptian temples at 600 AD. I know that because I'm still pissed about that. So yeah, I got a problem with that. And the Caliphate, and the Mamadus, they came into existence. Now, everything you're hearing now is on the A side, okay? 642, from 642 to 1517 ACE, they was in control. Then you got the Ottoman Empire. They dominated from 10 ACE to 1882 ACE. That's the British colonists. They've been around a long time. They took over at 1882 to what? 1952. See where we at now? You see where we at now? This is a little breakdown of the time frame, as well as modern Arab Islamic Egypt to the present day. They're Muslims in Egypt now, the Arabs. Okay, they took over. So ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet had a civilization that was flourishing in the northeast corner of Africa along the Nile River for what? Since before 5,500 BCE. I had it at 5,000, so I was 500 years old. But I know for a fact what we've been doing a long time. Kick on 2,000, that's 7,000. Can you buy that? Knowledge, no. So from 5,000 BCE until 30 BCE. In 30 BCE, Octavian, your boy Julius, who was later known as the Roman Emperor Augustus, put that last Egyptian king and put in the Ptolemy, the 14th or some crap, the Greek ruler. That's at 30 BCE. it really goes back to 32 BCE when they took over the Ptolemies. Okay, watch this. The Greek ruler until his death. Now, after this, Egypt was formerly what they call annexed. What that means somebody was running it. It wasn't they wasn't on their own accord. They was annexed by the Greeks, the Romans. Okay, that's what that means. And they was at that time they were annexed to Rome. Okay, Egyptologists normally will divide the ancient Egyptian history into the following approximate periods. Pay attention. This is what I call fluff, but it's good information if you're a historian. But the early dynastic period started, pay attention, what I tell you when the white man came into Egypt, 3,200 BCE, 2,575 BCE. That was what they called the early dynastic period. But we was doing something before then too. That's what the white man can't tell you about. Why? Because he came in at 32. I keep trying to make that point to you so you understand. It ain't racist. It was never about black and white from 32 beyond. They had no white. We didn't have to worry about that. Okay, at 32 to 2575, the old kingdom, or what we call the old empire, started at 2575. It went all the way down to 2134 BCE. We still on the time going backwards, not forward. Understand it. That's what the BCE means for some of y'all who may not know. But the first intermediate period that they had total control was in 2134 BCE to 2040 BCE. And then they called the Middle Kingdom or the Middle Empire. Again, that empire. We use kingdom, they use empire. So they had to use both. So 2040 to 1640 BCE. Now you got the second intermediate period. And I watched my teachers take you through all these and tell you what happened. One with that, I'm not doing all that. Okay, I'm not that person. Every little part about that. So no, but I'm giving you the dates. I call this fluff, but I understand. And from 1640 to 1532, now the New Kingdom or the New Empire started at 1530. This is all changing hands. This is all people changing hands, coming in different leadership. But that's when we was annexed out to different leaders. Whoever leading, they can run Egypt. Now the third intermediate period started at 10,070 BCE and it went down to 712 BCE. That's the late period. And from 7 to 332 BCE was pretty much in the white man's hands. Oh, that's just white man. So in the late period, the following groups that controlled Egypt, you had the Nubian dynasty. They took over in 700. And kept it until 657. Then you got the Persian, Cyrus the Great. His dynasty came in at 525. This one, everybody just started taking pot shots at it. We got weak, we got little defenseless, and so everybody was just coming in and getting something. they just ripping. Okay, and we got dates to show, to prove. All right, that's what we're doing right now. I'm almost done with this. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So now you got the native. Okay, the Persian came in. That when I see the movie Spartans, that's when the Persians, they were mentioned with Greeks now. They had to go conquer them. So the native, that was in 525 to 404. All right. The native revolt in the reestablishment of Egypt, that's when we fought back, ruled by the Egyptians. We took over at 400 BCE to 343 BCE. And guess what? Here they came back again, them damn Persians. They was pissed off. Okay, so they came back the second period. They came and took over at 343, and it was in control of 332. That's when the Greeks came back, and then they took over. All right. So the Ptolemaic, there you go, boy. I know some of this stuff. The Greek period from 332, that's Alexander Numbnuts, BCE down to 30 BCE. That's what all the Greek historians write everything about Egypt from their perspective. So now you got the Rome. Now in the 30 BCE, when we about to flip over to AD, the Romans was in control. That's the Bible that y'all got. They gave y'all that, the Roman Catholics. Romans from 30 BCE to 395 ACE, they was in control of the Byzantine period. They came in and took over your boy Constantine from 395 to 640. And by that time, all Egyptian temples shut down. all the Egyptian information now dissolved. We just went underground. All right. And now you got the Arab conquest. Here they come. They took over at 640. Now they in control. ACE to present day. That's the little breakdown of Egypt. Right now in Egypt, speaking Muslim, Islam, the individual dynasties were numbered generally in your Roman numeral number. That meant at the time they was in control. I'm glad we got their ass out of there. I'm tired of seeing I's and X's and O's. What the hell is that? Now we use it as cuss words, not XO and XO, yeah. But the X is triple X. To us, that means X-rated. So thank you, Romans. All right, let me close this thing out. But the period after the New Kingdom saw greatness in a culture and their architecture under the rulership of Ramses II. We got back in control, and that's where history sees us, right there, Ramses. We were doing a whole lot of stuff before Ramses, but thank God for him. Watch this. However, after his rule, after Ramses fought with your boy Moses, Egypt saw a decline from which it would never recover. Okay, yeah, when Moses left, he tore it up. Okay, the Christians tore it down. This is the period of the downfall of ancient Egyptian culture. I'm just giving you from the Christian perspective. They had their God be our God, yeah. In the culture in which the Libyans ruled after the Tantanite. They were the dynasty of the 21st dynasty. Now we in the later part where Egypt ain't even, now you got everybody. Watch this. But this is followed by the Nubian conquerors who found the 22nd dynasty and tried to restore Egypt to its glory, to its past glory. Again, one more crack at it that it never pulled off. However, having been weakened by social, political turmoil of wars, civil strife, we couldn't get it together. Egypt fell again into what? To the Persians once more, them damn Persians. But the Persians conquered them again, the country, until what? Again, the Greeks under Alexander Numbnuts conquered, saved us. Now, it's lesson too evil, like my man John Henry Clark said, my master teacher. He said, hell, we're getting our ass whipped from the Arabs, so we figure we getting our ass kicked from the Persians. We figure we take it from the Greeks. What the hell? It was less than two evils, as he said. And they came in, took over, and finally the Arabs, they came back and conquered the land back for them till present day at 640. Everything been run down from then on. However, the history has been classified above only the history of the dynastic periods. Why? It reflects the view of the traditional Egyptologists who refuse to accept the evidence of what we call pre-dynastic period. That's before the white man and everything is black, and they just ain't going for that. And the period of ancient Egyptian history is contained in ancient Egyptian documents. We have records. Okay, we got the proof, or they say the receipts, such as the Palmero stone, the royal tablets. We got the Abydos. We got the royal papyrus. We got the Turin shroud. We got the dynastic list of Manetho, all the pharaohs and kings. We got the eyewitness accounts of some of your famous Greek historians, such as Herodotus from 484 to 425 BCE, and Diodorus, another Greek historian who died around 20 BCE. So they was around, and they see what they saw, and they wrote it, documented. So they take their word. Everything about Egypt, they take from the Greek historians' point of view. See where I'm going with that? But they corroborate the status and the makeup of Kemet culture. In the late dynastic period, which support their earlier accounts. Again, theirs, not ours. These sources speak clearly of pre-dynastic society, which stretches far into antiquity, past 3200 BCE. The dynastic period is what most people think of whenever ancient Egypt is mentioned. This period is when the pharaohs, the kings ruled. The later part of the dynastic periods is when your biblical, I told you, story of Moses, Joseph, and Abrahamic concept at 1700, okay, BCE. And that occurred around, no, how about this? Around 2100, yeah, again, BCE, I say 1700. That's when my man Dr. Ben called y'all. Y'all couldn't have been around when the pyramids was built, so y'all couldn't have been slaves while we built the pyramids. So, nothing less. But circa 21 to 10,000 to 1000 BCE, before, and therefore, those with the Christian background, y'all generally only have an idea about the true ancient Egypt as it's related to y'all from the biblical standpoint. Y'all don't know nothing about Egypt. But you claim that Moses, that y'all leader, did. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You wouldn't have the 10 funky commandments if he did. I ain't going there. Let me wrap it up again. I see the clock. So although this biblical notion is very limited, and even in the scope, the significance, and the impact of ancient Egypt on the Hebrew and Christian culture is evident even more, even from the biblical scriptures. Y'all put it in y'all writing, in y'all books. Actually, y'all all came out of Egypt. Egypt existed, the significant impact of Egypt on the Hebrew Christian culture and is evident, and even from the biblical scripture that y'all wrote. Actually, Egypt existed much earlier than most your traditional Egyptologists are prepared to admit. Why? Because they're white and they can't go that far back with their knowledge. They don't go no further. So they don't get it from a black perspective. That's why. And the new archaeological evidence, receipts, all relate to the Great Sphinx Monument, which was built over 9,000 years ago. And where? On the Giza Plateau, and the ancient writings by Manetho, one of the first pharaohs, one of the last, excuse me, not the first, he was the last high priest of the ancient city they call ancient Egypt, show the ancient Egyptian history begins earlier. Put your shoes on. 10,000 BCE and may date back. Matter of fact, they know it had to be after that because the Sphinx was labeled there because we was in the age of Leo at that time, and the constellation was what they said, as above, so below. We was factoring what they saw in the sky, and they did that by computer generated right in the back, and they saw it, so they know that's proof. Again, we got receipts. We ain't just saying. So you got it go back past 10,000 BCE and may even date back as early as 30,000 to 50,000 BCE. That white man ain't trying to hear that. Why? He's no place there. He ain't in there, so he don't want that. That counts him out like the boy Trump getting asked out the damn the FIFA chair, getting everything that just to get into place. That's that white man. He represents them in every aspect. Perfect example. But let me take it on home. Now it is known that the pharaonic, aka the royal calendar, is based on the solstice system. The star Sirius was in use back in 4240 BCE. This certainly required extensive astrological knowledge and skill at the time of the observation, way back then. Therefore, the history of Kemet before Egypt must be reckoned to the extremely ancient. Thus, in order to grasp the antiquity, they can't go 4,000 years back. Why? They wasn't in the picture of ancient Egypt. Concept, culture, religion, and philosophy. We will briefly review the history presented by the ancient Egyptian priest Manetho and some Greek historians to legitimize it. Because if they say so, that's what it is. But the calendar that's based on a great year. I just was watching my man Neil deGrasse, and they showing how the zodiac, he breaking down the equator, he did all that. But he showed how the zodiac worked. 30 days, every slot. You got 360 degrees. But 360 degrees is what? Circle. Completion. That's the zodiac. But he also know that the Ophiuchus, the Scorpions, Ophiuchus is more Ophiuchus than Scorpions. Why? Because the constellation of Ophiuchus is the 13th zodiac sign. They cut that out. But the story goes to 360, 12 zodiacs, each get 30 days, yada, yada. So where the 5 days come from? The Egyptians break it down in their celestial calendar, where the birth of the celestial children, Asar, Haru, Set, Aset, and Nephet, the 5 kids. Okay, why? That's the day that Newt can give birth. In the 360, she couldn't. Moving on is another story. But they had the celestial year at 26,000. It switches over. We counted, and guess what? The great year, oh yeah, the great year is based on the Egyptians, right? Why? Because the great year is based on the movement of the earth through the celestial, known as the perception of the equinox, or more known, the zodiac, by the historian and given by the ancient Egyptian priest Manetho in the year of 241 BCE, aka the great year has 2,560 days compared to sometime 25,920, but they rounded out as what, 26,000 years for each zodiac sign. We're gonna be here for the next 26,000 years, okay? And everything we do gonna be what? Information. We're in the information age. We just came out of the dark age, the Aquarius, the mysterious, everything mysterious, okay? We moving through the zodiac. Again, this ain't the first go around. Moving on. All right, so here we go. And Jesus told you, follow the man with the water, the picture. That's that information. Back then, it wasn't that. Now, modern day, it's information. So they know what's going on. And you got your 12 arcs of what we call the constellation. And each passage through the constellation takes exactly 2,155 years to 2,160 years. Give or take a few years. But they are what they call the great months. The current cycle of the year began around the year 10,858. That was the year of Leo. That's the constellation it was in Leo. Okay, so you count that back. BCE. And at around the year 36,766 BCE, according to the records of Manetho, the creator Ra ruled the earth, what, in person. I told you the story how he decided y'all started mocking him because he's getting old and stuff happened. So he went up to heaven and said, now he leave Mayat to be the judge of those who get to him. Another lesson. But he left Earth. He was here in person on his throne as the king. Ancient Egypt, the city of Anu, the first place. Heliopolis, okay, the heavenly city. All that. That's the story with Ra. I'm going to take you to that in a minute. But by the reckoning, our current year, 2000 ACE, is actually the real year 38,766, based on the great year system of our ancient Egyptian history and celestial understanding of that thing up in the sky. Okay, they had this figured out a long time ago. And for quick, we got 3 different rules. Amun Ra Ptah. You see here A, B, C, but watch the distance, how far it is. This is Anu, the first time. They worship Ra, okay? And here you got Memphis. They represent the Memphite. They represent, you got Amun. And then you got the last one down here, Thebes. They represented Ptah. Amun Ra Ptah, 3 creation stories, 3 gods in one. All that's broken down, but I want to get you caught up because this is information that you can use to learn about who? You. This is all about you. You are Egypt. Hope you enjoy the lesson. I'll be right back with some more. Now I got to go. Ooh, yeah, fundamental principles. I got some more for you. I'll be right back. And in closing, I think is, may you all live to be 100. Me, 100 miles that day, so I never know my right thinkers who understand now a little bit more about Egypt and where the land came from and passed away. I'll be right back. I'm teaching now.